Are they for you and like two other people?
Yeah. My wife fits into them snugly. Along with me. Ooh. And can you imagine that?
Hope that's front to front.
Think that Jace should have a matching pair. I just don't understand that.
Welcome to the 5 Heart Podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by CornNation.com, part of the SB Nation Podcast Network. I'm a third of your broadcast team. My name is Greg Mahochko. Joining me, about to make his grand debut, our founder and fearless leader of CornNation.com, Mr. John Dam Johnston. John, hello.
Hi.
And the man behind the Bermuda shorts.
Is that what they were?
No, they're my swimming trunks.
Are they not?
Yeah, they are. But they're not Speedos, for God's sakes. Nobody.
I didn't say that.
Oh. Well,
I said Bermuda shorts. I didn't say Speedos.
Holy shit. You could jump out of a plane and save your life with those.
Yeah, they are your combination swim trunks, parachute, umbrella, And
remember years ago that guy, that one guy, Thor Heyerdahl, I think his name was. Remember that guy? Ringing a bell? Kontiki. Okay. There with that joke. I was thinking you could just put them on and float across the Atlantic and prove I don't know, maybe a guy years ago in the 1100s came across from Scandinavia and the Nordland.
Eric the Red?
No, before him, and just put on big shorts and floated across the Atlantic and found the New World way before anybody else.
Was it you?
This is a terrible beginning.
It is a horrible beginning.
And also with us, it
can only get better.
Also with us, as always, Todd Wolverton. Hello, Todd.
Hi, Greg.
How are you today, sir?
I'm just floating. Just like the air is taking me for a ride, like a red balloon.
Are there 99 of those?
99 Luft red balloons.
Oh God, don't.
Or is it up and away in
with
your
my beautiful
red
balloon?
We've got some news that we will definitely talk about later in the show regarding that which you currently see on Todd's screen and what you won't be seeing at Memorial Stadium this fall. But I want to welcome everybody to the show and thank you just for making it this far. It's only 3 minutes, but you're truly a fan if you haven't said, screw these guys, I'm getting out of here.
You guys really haven't ever heard of Thor Heyerdahl? Oh. Okay, we'll move on. We'll just forget that whole Thor thing. Strike from the record. Jury will disregard.
A Norwegian adventurer.
Yeah.
With an ethnographer with a background in zoology, botany, and geography. Heyerdahl, notable for his Kontiki expedition in 1947, in which he sailed 8,000 kilometers. I don't know what that is in actual numbers. Across the Pacific Ocean in a hand-built raft from South America to the Tuamotu Islands.
That's ballsy. That's what that is, or crazy. But both of those things are kind of closely related.
And how was that earlier than Eric the Red?
He was making a point that somebody could do it.
Oh, okay.
See, that was the point. Is we constantly now in our history we look back and we go, they could never do that. Mostly, what we really mean is we couldn't figure out how to do that. And a guy, Thor Heyerdahl, did this to prove, yes, people could have navigated the ocean.
Yeah.
Before we ever believed they could have done that.
Now, you look at the ruins of those old Viking ships and you wonder how the hell they did get across, but they apparently did.
Look, when it comes to the nature of this podcast, there's only one Thor I care about, and that's Thor Yarbinson.
Wow, that's a good job on that.
I kinda
May
like-
he rest in basketball peace,
yeah.
playing successfully across the pond wherever he's playing basketball.
Well, we have a gentleman named Thor that joins us on Coronation fairly regular with comments.
I like
The
that
Iowa
Thor too.
guy
The one Iowa Hawkeye fan that, is okay.
that we don't ban.
Yeah. I mean, he's not
And
bad.
we got an official trailer earlier this week for Thor: Love and Thunder. If you like those Marvel movies, so
Oh,
I guess what we're gonna do spend the rest of this episode just talking about various Thors in our life, guys.
I got a Thor down here.
I got a
Jesus.
sore neck. I got my staples in my neck out today.
Good.
Yeah.
We were concerned because we know that you had a long trip last week to Kansas, and I was really concerned about your medical state and the state of your neck. So, how are you feeling, John? Let's give everybody an update on the latest in the saga of John's unfailing health.
I feel great.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. So this week in Omaha, our beloved Todd is going to be participating in the viewing and has been viewing some Big Ten baseball. Todd, how has that been going for you? As people are listening to this on Friday and we're recording on Wednesday, so make up the stuff from Thursday.
Well, it was kind of wet.
That's what she
And,
said.
Oh my
And,
God. This is
they
the off season.
actually, Greg, I'm hoping to see games on yesterday, and maybe they'll play yesterday. Sounds like they're going to try to get 5 of them in. Here's where I'm at with the Big Ten baseball tournament. I hope Rutgers wins. That's who I'm going to cheer for. Rutgers.
Why?
Why? Because Rutgers is the butt of everybody's joke. I mean, Butgers.
That's true.
Come on, And to me, I didn't see Maryland this year, but of all of the Big Ten teams that I watched this year, Rutgers by far was the most dominant. And, I would like to see them win. I think it would be great if they win. I believe that there's only going to be 2 Big Ten teams, maybe 3, that will get into the regional. And so I think Maryland is probably going to get a bid, maybe, because they're, you're saying one. I just don't want Iowa to get it. I don't want Iowa to get into the region. I don't care. They got beat by a Division III team. That in itself should eliminate any Division I team from qualifying. They shouldn't even be in the Big Ten tournament because they got beat by a Division III team. And I'm going to boo Purdue. I'm just going to.
What? You're going to boo Purdue?
I'm going
Why?
to
Boo
gosh.
Purdue?
boo
What
Purdue.
did Purdue ever do to you, Todd?
I'm going to boo Purdue. Well, because I'm surprised. I know we're recording this Wednesday, but rumor has it that because it's rained all day today, that Purdue went home. It rained, and so they went home back to Indiana because it rained. And they're just not going to play because it rained. So
I've heard of that before, that they do that.
I
They go,
didn't know
rain.
that.
It could be acid rain.
well,
I
and it
didn't know
might
that
rain
they-
tomorrow. So they wouldn't play anyway because it rained today and it might rain tomorrow. Tournament's over for Purdue.
Did you?
I didn't know that Purdue was so sensitive, and that they could only play baseball in top most preferred weather conditions.
Yeah.
Did
No.
you ever see the 10 Commandments movie, that one with Charlton Heston?
Yeah, it's a fantastic
Where it's
movie. I own
rained
2
and
versions. Of it.
everything, I don't know, rained fire.
The hail, yes, the
Yeah,
hail
whatever
when it
that
hits
was.
the ground.
Really,
Yep.
yeah, maybe that's what they're afraid of.
Could be.
I mean, it's not likely to happen in Omaha. It would probably happen in Iowa if the tournament was being held there.
It could. It could.
But what if it was raining cats and dogs?
Cats and dogs living together.
No, that's coming down from the sky, and they hit the Purdue guys.
See, I was thinking of like the message from Dr. Peter Venkman towards the end, right before the beginning of the third act of Ghostbusters. Cats and dogs living together, absolute mayhem. Or I butchered that, and I apologize to all the good people listening.
Well, Big Ten tournament, it's going to be hard to not watch Nebraska, but shoot, I've been going to the NCAA tournament, College World Series for years, and Nebraska was only there 3 times. And, but it's unfortunate that it's off to a slow start with the weather, but I'm cheering for Rutgers. And I think a lot of people, believe Maryland is probably the team to beat because they won the regular season. And my God, half of the first team are Maryland players on the all Big Ten team. It's like they win the conference by 1 game, but yet apparently they were the most dominating team in the conference to get 6 guys out.
Who picked that?
It was on the Big Ten website, so I don't know.
So the Big Ten.
Yeah, the Big Ten.
Have you paid attention to that over the years?
I really haven't paid attention to Big Ten baseball, or I haven't paid attention to baseball from the conference office because they don't give a shit about it. So but there were 3 guys from Nebraska that got all Big Ten recognition. I needed to write an article, so I went in and looked at it.
Okay. For years, when I covered more baseball, I didn't have more of you guys around. I would go to the Big Ten site, and their statistics would be just outdated, a jumbled mess. I mean, like baseball statistics, right? You say, here's the top 10 batting averages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And normally there's a qualifier in there that says like minimum at bats, 3 per game or 1 per game. They didn't do that. So you literally look at their stats, and you could have guys with like, 1.0 or whatever it is and they'd have like 1 at bat and they'd get a hit. And that was their leaders. That's the shit that they would put up on their website. And I literally started emailing them and saying, you really need to qualify some of these statistics you're putting out. And then they'd start doing that. But it's just honest to God. Over a decade of doing this now with this conference. And it is very, very abundantly clear they do not give a shit about baseball at all.
I just want to say that John, you provoke more change than any petition on change.org. And for that, I applaud you.
You know why they don't give a shit about baseball?
Because it's not a big moneymaker for them?
Yeah, I think that's it. Honestly, when I look at this, you know what I mean? You can look at women's sports and they could go, oh, we're supporting women. And they have that like lofty bullshit thing they do. Like, we care about the welfare of student athletes. You know what I mean? When they do that, yet some of the biggest scandals in college sports are all in the Big Ten. I think they look at it and they don't care because it makes them 0 money and they're angry about it. Or they hate it. Because it's really just a big money laundering outfit. Anyway, go on, Greg. Go on.
So, Todd, you hope Maryland wins.
No, Rutgers.
I'm sorry, Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
Mea culpa. You hope Rutgers wins. And we always hope that Iowa loses at everything.
Yep.
And you hope that Purdue, when they finally turn the bus back around to come back, that they get lost and end up in Iowa.
Yeah.
Which is what they deserve, really, for going home.
Exactly. So, but, also on the baseball front, and Aaron and I had talked a little bit about this at the end of the series with Michigan State. I don't think there's any question with 16 new players scheduled to come in at Nebraska, there's going to be an overhaul of their roster. And Coach Bolt and the assistants have started their, end of the year interviews or conferences or whatever you want to call them, player conferences. And there are already 6 Nebraska baseball players that have entered the portal and plan to move on. Tyler Palmer, Ethan Bradford, Quinn Mason are three of them who didn't get a whole lot of playing time this year. Bradford got injured and Mason threw a little bit. Tyler Palmer pinch ran and maybe was a defensive substitute late in the games. But there's three others that are going to no surprise, but for people who pay attention to the team, these names will be familiar. Jack Stile, who started 12 of the games at first base. He never got the bat going this year, and it affected his defense. And he's, I think Stiles from Wisconsin. He's either Wisconsin or Minnesota kid. But he's going to move on. But the name that a lot of people will be surprised about is Leighton Banjoff. And he is kind of a crowd favorite. I don't know if it's just because everybody likes his nickname Banjo or what, but Leighton Banjoff he announced on Monday, actually, Tuesday, that he's gonna enter the portal. And then the one that kind of surprised me a little bit is Braxton Bragg, who he kind of became. Well, it's hard to say that Nebraska had a closer because there weren't that many games where they were
right.
In a save situation. But Braxton Bragg ended up being the guy who came in late innings, and he actually did pretty good with that. But speculation is that he wants an opportunity to become a starting pitcher, and perhaps he was not given that opportunity or led to believe that he would have that kind of opportunity. So there are going to be some changes with Nebraska baseball, to nobody's surprise.
I guess I was shocked by Bragg.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that too. Yep.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about, if it's okay with both of you, some transfer portal action.
More?
Yeah, there's more moving and
which
shuffling on the football roster.
I know which one you're going to talk about.
Do you?
Oh, I hope so.
Because
I said last week that I wanted to see the other guy from Alabama.
Well, we'll not talk about him just yet. We're going to talk about the new receiver from Texas, Marcus Washington. So we've got Casey Thompson in Washington, a couple of players who I would anticipate that for that history and that chemistry alone, that Marcus Washington's not going to be too far down the depth chart.
Well, is he a burner? He's a burner, isn't he? He's a guy that flies down the field and you throw the ball way up in the air and he catches it and runs for a touchdown.
That's what I was back in my day.
Yeah.
You really got to high point the football. You got to know exactly. It's all about the burners. To use your phrase, John, burners are among the smartest people in football because they have to really understand geometry. They have to know like launch angles and everything else to reach up one hand, that catch at its peak. Yeah, should be fun. The hell do I know? I don't know shit.
He's 6'2", 190. That's a fairly decent sized receiver guy.
I've got him beat. I'm 6'2", 266.
Were you a burner?
Yeah, no. I tried it a little when I was younger and it didn't take.
I guess, they have gotten many. They seem to have many receivers.
Yeah.
Which is good because we actually have a quarterback who can, get the ball downfield successfully.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if he has time to get a guy, maybe they're just going to run 5-yard routes. You know what I mean? Maybe they should change that up this season. Where
maybe they should have done that last
one route
2
and have
years.
a check down route.
Maybe they should have been doing that the last 2-3 years.
What?
Right?
Yes.
It's called. I know exactly what it's called. It's just the words escape me. It's not making changes, not modifications.
Adjustments.
Thank you.
Oh,
Todd, I don't know where I'd be without you. I wouldn't be as happy.
Probably just wandering in the darkness.
God, that sounds fun. That sounds really fun.
Well,
Do you guys remember?
okay.
Do you guys? So, based on your approximate ages, you probably didn't have flashlight tag, but maybe you had like old timey lantern tag.
Lantern tag. Yeah.
Did you guys play lantern tags as boys, as youths?
As youths. When we weren't burning down the barn.
Yeah,
I
we
just figure
shot at
wandering
each
out
other.
in the
That's what
darkness.
my friends did. We just shot at each other with BB guns.
I'm glad you qualified that. It's
Well,
not fun being shot with a BB gun. I can tell
I
you.
had a friend of mine lose his eye. One of my best friends.
How's
and
he
we
doing
all
today?
Well, he can't see out of one eye, and we all just went, "Oh, it sucks to be you." And kept
Is it-
having
So
BB
when
gun
mom
fights.
says,
Is he like
"Don't
Eye
do
Patch
that,
Jones?
you'll put his eye out," that really happened.
I mean, he
is
never lost his eye,
Oh,
but he lost vision in his eye. We should move on.
so Marcus Washington is
Yeah.
now a Husker,
Yes.
and Todd.
Yes, Greg. Make me happy.
You know who else is a new Husker? Todd,
Oh, tell me.
former 4-star defensive tackle Stephon Wynn Jr. from Alabama.
Oh, my heart is going pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter.
What? But are those Bermuda shorts from earlier? Are they tented out right now?
They're a little snug right now.
Oh dear God!
You know what that means? Stefan Wynn Jr. is the blue chew of transfer portal acquisitions.
I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that.
You're
So
welcome.
I think the thing with him is that when I looked at that, I went, okay, he was a 4-star. He's really was rated very, very high as a defensive lineman, but he didn't really play very much.
Well, he was in the rotation. They used a 3-man rotation at
Right.
that position. And, I think there have been a few defensive tackles from Alabama that have gone on to play in the NFL in the last 5 or 6 years.
So he just wasn't good enough to break the NFL level.
Well, when one of those guys goes every year, I think you just kind of wait your turn. I'm hopeful. The guy lives up to his expectations because now, they brought in 3 defensive linemen through the transfer portal. And I think that all 3 of those defensive linemen are significantly better than the people that left.
Really?
And you got to play up front. The only way that the Nebraska defense is going to be successful is if they're stout up front. And I think that the coaching staff has done a good job, ensuring that that's going to be the case.
I feel like also, I'm trying to go back before Mike Riley, under Pelini and then even the early years of Riley till Bob Diaco, we were 4-3. And then we switched to 3-4 and we maintained that 3-4, under Chenander. And I feel like last year and maybe with the talent that's been brought in, that I'm not saying we're not going back to a 4-3, certainly, but I feel like it's not a true 3-4 either because, you're going to have like the O'Shawn Mathises who maybe aren't always necessarily down linemen. On the other side, of course, you've got Garrett.
Nelson.
Thank you. I was like, Johnson, that's not it. Mahachko, that's my boy. You got Garrett Nelson on the other side. So you've got good. I agree 100% with you, Todd. Upgrades, across the board. And like as a football fan, as a football staff, coaching staff, that's what you want. We have our, I guess emotional ties to the Phildarius Paynes and the Casey Rogers and the other guy, but
Riley.
Thank you. Yeah, see,
Ty Robinson.
He's coming.
He's
back.
still here. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Didn't we lose another one? Okay.
No.
I've been gone for 2 weeks.
I was like, Ty Robinson, that was news to me. And
He's the one that stuck around. He was the one that was rumored during the season to be leaving.
Okay.
But I think Nebraska fans have to, and we're going to touch on this later in this very episode, but we have to like stop being so attached, for sentimental purpose. Don't get me wrong. If there are some guys who are like, oh, it would suck if this person left, or, but when you look at the attrition and then the acquisitions, like you said, it's better across the board. Like, how can you not be happy?
Yeah.
And kudos to the coaching staffs, the Mickey Josephs, the NIL, whatever it is, for, helping to what could, if it's another 3-9 year, it's Scott Frost last year, right? I do believe that for 2022, he's coaching for his job. You've got to go out and acquire the best you can.
Yeah.
And then the next part is, okay, if we're getting 4 stars, 5 stars in the transfer portal, how do we start getting them out of high school? And with NIL, I think that's going to help, because I don't think O'Shawn Mathis came here for the scenery. I'm sure he loves seeing the green, but I don't think he's here because he wants to play in a colder temperature, a colder climate, across the board every week. So I get it. Like I was probably one of those caught in yesteryear and dragging my feet into the new millennium of everything. I embrace NIL. I think I did from the beginning, because I understand, or even understood that for a lot of these kids, young men, that NFL is not going to pan out for a lot of them. It will, across the board. Now, I'm not talking specifically Nebraska, although certainly recent history has shown that by and large Nebraska it's not panning out in the NFL. But go ahead, Todd.
Well, Greg, I was also going to say too, what I really like. Oh, I also forgot the Texas Tech kid. There's another defensive tackle. So he came. Is it Drews? Maybe
Kevin something Drew. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So there's the other one. But here's the thing that I think is really important about this is one of your favorite players, or at least potential superstars, is the Nut Masher. And when
Polar Bear.
Yeah. And, if this, because of the depth now that they have, and because they're bringing in these guys with experience, that doesn't mean that he's relegated to the bench for the entire season. That's not going to happen. He's going to be in on some of these rotations. But if he had to be, an every other series player, or, play 2 out of every 3 series out on, or, whatever, out on the field, I'm not sure that kid is ready to go and handle that responsibility. He can grow into it now. And I think that bears much better, down the road.
So I want to completely agree. First of all, completely agree. And I want to dial back the clock about 13 years and there is a world in where we compare the Polar Bear to Jared Crick. Crick had the ability to learn and play and hone his craft by playing next to one of the all-time greats, and because of the singular focus that offensive coordinators put on stopping Ndamukong Suh, Jared Crick had a very stellar season. When Ndamukong Suh, when that safety blanket, when that cleanup hitter, to use a baseball term, wasn't there to protect the number 3 hitter, Jared Crick, we saw a production decline the following year. I think that this is a perfect scenario for Nash to get in, play side by side with some of these guys who have, either they've been around elite talent and learned, at Alabama, or they've played a significant amount of time at a Texas Tech, and were productive in that role. And then you have the O'Shawn Mathis, which is, I'm talking kind of specifically down lineman, and O'Shawn Mathis is, I don't think, going to be, utilized in that way. But let's say there's a series where you have Stephon Wynn Jr., and next to him you have the polar bear, and on the edge you have O'Shawn Mathis. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, Dad. That's going to work very well as far as getting that young man confidence in a game, in a live game situation, to help elevate him and be prepared for the season's, his upper class years. I think it's going to be brilliant. I think I hadn't thought about it until you said it, Todd. By God, I'm so glad you did. As always, Todd, you and I are just, man, we are clicking.
I have a question.
Okay.
How many of these guys from the transfer portal have 1 year of eligibility left?
Well, there are 35, I think, transfer portal acquisitions. So by my math, 43.
There's 15 portal acquisitions, and I don't know how many have 1 year left, but here's another.
Well, Casey Thompson.
He got 2 years.
Okay.
I think he's got
O'Shawn Mathis.
1.
Okay. This Stephon Wynn is 1. He's a grad transfer, right? Basically.
The D-back has got 3.
So it's a mix.
It's a mix. But
okay, my point is this. If Scott Frost gets fired next year, these guys have used up their 1 year transfer.
Well, the 1 year guy, yeah. So
they're going to be there.
They're going to be there.
Most likely.
Yeah.
And we picked up a number of quarterbacks. I mean, we picked up Chuba.
Well,
right.
Another little exercise that I heard today, and I didn't pay a whole lot of attention because I got a phone call, but they were, I think there's 15 portal guys coming in. And what they were doing on one of the radio shows I was listening to, they went back to the last 15 portal people that they brought in. And how many of those 15 portal people became difference maker players? How many of them became very good players? And they came up with 4. And,
what were their names, Todd?
I don't remember. I wasn't listening all that close. But my point is this. If we got to hope that the batting average, is a little bit higher than 4 of these guys ending up being good, solid players. I mean, to be honest, if Scott Frost and this team is going to put together the kind of wins that they're going to need so that, Frost is around for another year, we're going to have at least one of these guys absolutely be a stud. And we're going to have a half a dozen of these guys that are significant contributors to the success of the team.
I think I don't want to put too much pressure on the young man. I know he's listening and loves our show, and can't wait till he reaches out and volunteers some of his free time to join us. But I think O'Shawn Mathis is going to be a dude. I think Casey Thompson's going to be I believe firmly that Casey Thompson is an upgrade. And I feel like the parts that are around them and look, I know we brought in so many, so much new blood that let's not forget that we do have some talent coming back. Yeah. And so it's just a matter of getting everybody on the same page. What we really need, and you guys are going to laugh, John especially, we just need one big house where everybody can be everybody's roommate, because that's what's worked historically in the past. You look at Tommy Armstrong and Jordan Westercatch, and they just need to spend the summer out in the grass, playing a little catch, getting that rhythm down, running a few routes for fun. Maybe a coach pulls up from time to time or has a megaphone and shouts some instructions out the car as he's driving. I don't know. I don't care.
That would be the greatest Neil deal ever. I mean, well, you wouldn't call it the Heisman House, but you could call it something house
Muchacha
in
House.
Lincoln,
Muchachos.
that I pay for, and somebody else buys all the food. Football players live at. That would probably be an enormous liability. But I think what we're doing on this show is we're drinking the Kool-Aid, aren't we? We are. Admit it.
I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
You are, you son of a bitch. You are too. You saw Stephon Wynn transfer in, and you were like, I might be excited or some damn thing like that.
Well,
I think I just filled the cup.
I was. I'm trying to be diplomatic instead of
Todd.
being the anti.
Todd, this is what I need you to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Get your ass off the fucking fence. Pick a side.
Wow. Don't do that. He was just coming over.
He'll still come to the
No,
good
he's
side.
contrary. He's got that contrary old man. Just, you want me to do this? I'm not doing it. There's 2 times in your life that happens, Greg. When you're like young and you're in your teens, and then when you get old and you start going, I'm old. Nobody gets to tell me what to do.
So what you're saying is that I'm in that sweet spot of like
You are in the sweet
I'm just
spot.
agreeable to everything.
Yeah,
Greg,
pretty
in
much to
many
your
ways,
wife.
you are in the sweet spot.
Yeah,
I
the
think
sweet
you're right.
spot. Yeah.
So we're going to come back and talk more football here in just a few moments. Wanted to get your thoughts, if you had any, on Lat Mayen leaving Nebraska and going to play some professional ball down in Australia.
I wept
I know.
with joy. Lat Mayen.
Perfectly
Lat
timed,
Mayen-
perfectly executed.
Lat Mayen was one of the players that constantly drove me completely batshit insane watching him play. He was so streaky. And I think the problem with the Lat Mayen had is something would not go his way. And you could see him physically, his body language. He would react emotionally. He would get upset or get angry. Then he'd start doing stupid things, and he wouldn't focus on what he was supposed to be doing on the basketball court. I think he was a decent shooter when he could, like I said, be on target. But I guess the bottom line is, I hope he makes money and does well in Australia. And I'm not weeping that he's gone.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Softball wise, Nebraska lost in the regionals in Stillwater to North Texas, losing that game over the weekend 3-0. Again, check out the write-up. The Andy Ketterson did a good job covering both the Big Ten tournament that Nebraska won up in East Lansing, and then he said, you know what, I have a few more frequent flyer miles. Let's fly down to Stillwater, Oklahoma. It's the only reason to fly or visit Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Eskimo
Of
Joe's.
God.
Eskimo Joe's.
I think
Okay.
it was a really cool season for them. I mean, they won a championship, and that was I think that's pretty cool for Rhonda Revelle and the softball team.
We
You know
talked
what I mean?
about that a little bit last week
Okay.
with Todd's association. We could. I'm just saying we can. I'm not cutting you off, John. I want you to share all of your thoughts. This is a safe place.
I thought they how did they make that call? That call was not even close. I mean, I could have made that shitty a call. My God, officiating is just going to get worse from here on out because we're beating up our officials so much that there won't be any good ones left. But that was so bad
That was a horrible call. Horrible.
It changed the whole game, didn't it?
Well, it changed the game, but I'll tell you what, that pitcher from North Texas was on, and
okay.
I'm not sure Nebraska offensively was going to find the magic that they needed against her. I think she had her day, and that happens.
Sometimes that happens. Yeah.
Skylar Savage, and boy was she.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Nebraska, they won the first game against North Texas. They were competitive for a while against Oklahoma State. And then, the bottom kind of fell out there. And then, I fully expected them to get another shot at Oklahoma State, but Skylar Savage showed up and she had that day. And unfortunately it was our team that was playing against her.
Yep. Nebraska baseball. We talked about Big Ten tournament and how difficult it will be, especially for the preseason favorite. We talked about how difficult it would be to watch the Big Ten tournament without them being in there. But Todd, they did finish the season with a W.
Yep.
Over the weekend. And it's just unfortunate, that I don't know that the Big Ten was so inept. They had no interest in Purdue, getting out, because by all accounts, Purdue shouldn't even be in the Big Ten tournament.
That's true.
And I don't say that, I say that for a lot of reasons.
Who did they miss, Todd?
Who miss?
They played 3 less games.
Yeah.
They didn't play a series. Who did
they had to rain out against Maryland. That was one.
That was it.
They had 2 other games rained out. So, they played 3 less games than everybody else. And but here's the bottom line. Nebraska had opportunities, to win some games in the Big Ten, and this wouldn't have been an issue. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, the way that it all fell apart at the end. And, I'll tell you what, that last game against Michigan State, that was about as fun and tense of a baseball game as I've watched in that ballpark in a long time. It was a good game. But the Iowa series, the Minnesota game where they had that lead in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Yeah.
And, coulda, woulda, shoulda. And, we've had these conversations before, where the offense was inept this year. Pitching wasn't the primary problem, but it wasn't a salvation either. It was, I think what it really came down to was mental toughness and leadership. And it just wasn't there. And Max Anderson said as much, after the last game against Michigan State. He said, I took it for granted, how good we had it last year with Schwellenbach and some of those other guys, their leadership and, how Mojo and how they played the game. And that Will Bolt has not come out and said that directly, because he's not the kind of coach that's going to throw his players under the bus. But read between the lines with what Will Bolt has said. And I think,
Are you saying that there's a coach out there that will throw his players under the bus? Because it felt like he left that one wide open there, Todrick.
I'm saying Will Bolt didn't throw it.
All right, Todd, this is where you tell me that this shit doesn't matter. But as we slowly work our way back to talking about football-related things, former Husker center Tanner Farmer is joining a few, or I should say, is joining a former Husker Jordan Burroughs, the Olympic gold medalist, etc. At Final X. Yep. Now, this is where I ask you, what the hell is Final X?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question.
Thank you. I only ask the best.
I'll try to be as concise as I can. When USA Wrestling at the senior level for international wrestling, to kind of market the sport and to bring some kind of pizzazz to the whole thing, when they have the qualifiers for the world championship teams, they created this thing called Final X a few years ago. And so in essence, when they have these tryout, or when they have these competitions to see who makes the team, if you won a medal at the previous world championship or the previous Olympics, and you're a defending medalist, then you get a free ride to the finals of Final X. You don't have to go through the qualifying tournament. So they just held the qualifying tournament last week, and Tanner Farmer won the qualifying tournament at heavyweight. Excuse me, timeout. He made it to the finals. And the other guy who made it to the finals in Greco-Roman was Colton Schultz, who wrestles at Arizona State. So because there isn't a returning world medalist at that weight class, both of those guys are going on to Final X. And it's a best 2 out of 3. They're holding one, I think, on January 3rd in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And then the other half are wrestling January 8th down in New York City. And I don't know which one Tanner Farmer's going to, but the point is Tanner Farmer is 2 wins away from wrestling for Team USA at the World Greco-Roman Championships if he can beat Colton Schultz. That's a high mountain to climb. Colton Schultz, he's a world age group medalist in Greco-Roman. And Tanner Farmer, he's still kind of learning the whole sport, even though he's older than Colton Schultz.
He was a national champion as a junior in high school.
He was, but wrestling Greco-Roman at that level is significantly different than when Tanner Farmer was a younger man.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, you can't use chairs.
That's like saying that. That's like saying that the baseball that I stopped playing at age 11 is somehow different than the baseball I picked up again as a sophomore in high school.
What I'm saying is okay. There's a lot.
I'm just giving you shit. No, I know it's different.
But I'll tell you what, he's got a chance. And isn't it cool? I mean, he's, and just a little aside to this, there's a young lady, because women's wrestling has become so popular now, but there's a young lady by the name of Felicity Taylor, who is just finished her sophomore year at McKendree College, which I think is in Illinois, not far.
It is. It's about 30 minutes from my house.
Yep. And I think she was a national runner-up this last season in women's wrestling. She won she is the top ranked person at her weight class and stands a very good chance of making the world championship team. And little Felicity, I watched her wrestle 4 years in high school at South Winneshiek High School when I was up at North Fayette Valley, wrestling against the boys and taking a beating. And sometimes she came out on top, but there were some guys that showed absolutely no mercy to that girl. And she just kept coming back and watched her run cross country. Tough kid. And so, it's really kind of neat that this little girl from Oshen, Iowa, Calmer, Iowa, whichever one of those towns she's from,
young lady,
is that close. I think she must be about 20 years old now, 21 years old. So that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, Todd. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. No, I do. I appreciate it because I didn't know anything about Final X, and I was just, I asked it kind of generally speaking, but I want to know more, and I wanted to give Tanner Farmer, Jordan Burroughs their due. They were a couple of several Huskers who were competing for that opportunity. Some of them fell a little bit short. Now, I'm not going to put them down. I mean, not give them their dues, but let's move on. Here we are, almost an hour into this thing. The big topic that I had for this week,
I'm ready,
centers around Todd and the image that he has there, because it was announced this week that the celebratory balloon release from Memorial Stadium is going, as they used to say when I was a young child, the way of the dodo. So I just wanted to address it. It was a Trev Albert. I don't know if it was necessarily Trev Albert's decision. It was certainly his announcement. Come to find out, among other things, that Russia is kind of a big exporter of hydrogen. I'm sorry, helium, not hydrogen, helium. And what used to, like a cylinder that used to cost 50 something bucks or be relatively decently, reasonable expense, is now, four figures, 1,600 bucks, something like that, 1,200 bucks for a cylinder of the same amount of helium. So I'm sure there are other factors. It has been long decried by environmentalists that they're bad for Mother Earth. Although I'm pretty sure I reported years ago when I was a sports director up in Northwest Nebraska, Shadron, that they had developed the science community at the University of Nebraska had developed a balloon material that actually could decompose in water and things like that at a higher rate and in a safer manner. Anyway, I say all that to say that balloons are going bye-bye. John.
Look at this picture behind Todd.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that's a picture of?
History.
Fucking litter going into the air. That's exactly what it's a picture of. Okay? That's what it is. It's fucking litter going into the air that disappears. You don't see it, so you don't give a shit. It just floats out in the farm fields, whatever. The environmentalists, I can't tell you what, son. I don't know. I think I did a YouTube video, but it's an outdated tradition. It needed to go away because honestly, it is litter just going into the air. And with regards to helium, my understanding, I'm not an expert, obviously, but helium is a byproduct of natural gas mining, or it's not mining, drilling, whatever. It's a byproduct of natural gas, right? And it's used in MRI machines. I've had several MRIs. There you go.
Now,
obviously,
John,
I'm for it.
John, you had a couple of good ideas that I want to reference here in a minute, but I have read a couple of things. And somebody mentioned, well, why don't we use another gas like hydrogen? What could go wrong with hydrogen? And I was thinking, for those night games that we've had, and they have those towers of fire, what an incredible sight that would be to release thousands of hydrogen-filled red balloons and just fire up those flames.
Actually, the best way to do that, and look, I know it's never going to happen, right? But I'm on board. I want to say, let's, dare I say, accelerate it, because you have the hydrogen-filled balloons and the string that is really a wick, and you light it. Everybody gets it. You get a balloon and a lighter, and you light it and you let it go, and then to help complement my background picture on a night game, you have 40,000 little all around the state. It'd be tremendous. I'm a big fan of that plan. Big fan.
One of the commenters commented that everybody could have red Nerf balls and throw them at the first score. I thought that.
Where are we going to throw them?
Just throw them on the field.
Seems like something you'd have to take time to clean up.
What about like fruit, like maybe oranges or something?
You got to catch them in season.
Because we have plenty of officials and we can kill them.
Well, I just think, like, look, I'm doing this in hockey. For those of you who are unfamiliar with hockey, if there's a hat trick, it is sometimes, especially if it's a home team player, it is customary to, eat the hat that you have had, for 10 years, and you've sweat into the brow and everything like that. By golly, your favorite hockey player gets a hat trick. You take off the hat, you throw it onto the ice, and at Enterprise Center in St. Louis, where the 2019 Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues call their home ice. By the way, they're going in overtime now, game 5 with the Avalanche. So let's go Blues. By Friday morning, we'll have known the outcome of that game. But they collect them all, and there's a huge, massive net that, and it's, hey, these are your hats. You don't get it back at the end of the game. However, that is a much smaller playing surface than a football field. And you want to like, look, so what is it? It's, there's a small college men's basketball team that in December, they have the silent night game. Right? And I think, I hope you all are familiar with that, where the crowd is completely quiet until the home team scores like the 7th or 10th point or something. And then the place goes banana. And every time I watch it, I get chills. It looks like just the most fascinating, fun environment. But they storm, like the visiting teams, they're in on the gag, so to speak. They know, all right, let's get off the court. Let's give these people a few minutes. Then you got to clean everything up. When you take like the Nerf ball or the fruit for some godforsaken reason, and you're going to be out there for ages trying to get it all cleaned up. It's a horrible idea. I'm much more on board with fire.
You know what? You realize we used to throw oranges. Did you know this?
No, this is the first time I've heard it.
Oh my God, really?
Okay, well, I feel I've let the entire Husker Nation down.
Speaking of traditions that people want to go insane about, it's a tradition that ended. The throwing of oranges ended at the 1982 Nebraska-Oklahoma game.
Yep.
It ended. Nobody bitched about it. And the reason that it ended is, what was it that night, Todd? I think I still have a photo of you where you're completely out of focus. My camera was working fine. But I think it was 20 degrees. It was freezing.
It was cold.
And the oranges were frozen, and one of them hit a referee, an official in the back of the head and permanently disabled him.
Oh, wow.
After that, it was no one will ever throw anything on this field again. They have cameras to watch people to make sure they don't throw shit on the field, because that was a huge liability. That tradition ended. People didn't go, oh, God,
no more tradition.
So it brings us to really the heart of why I want to talk about this. Do you think that the social media generation has perpetrated the bitching and whining of holding on to things that maybe are outdated?
I think it's what we do as people.
Okay. Well,
I don't think social media has contributed to it. I think people can bitch more, more people can see them. But I think people just, tradition is a word we use to keep things the way they are. And a lot of times we really don't question them. And then somebody doesn't like change, especially old people. Everybody hates change, but old people hate it more than anybody. But tradition is really just a word. That's a word we use to make sure that young people do what we want them to do. That's what we do. I don't want anything to change. This is a tradition. You can't change it. It's literally some idiotic thing where you should look at all the stuff you do on a regular basis and say, is this still viable? Is this sustainable? Is this reasonable? Is this just dumb? And launching balloons in the air filled with helium, which is not an easily replenished resource, it's just dumb. It is outdated and dumb.
Another slant on this I think is kind of funny is that two different friends of mine texted me and know my absolute disdain for Trev Albert and kind of alluded to it on Slack today too. But so what do you think of Trev now taking away your balloons? Well, I was upset about him taking away wrestling, and I could give a rat about him taking away balloons.
Were you at a game? We were at a game. I don't know if you were there, but we were sitting I think it was North Stadium, and we were fairly high up when we were students. And a guy about 5 rows in front of me stood up literally that far away and threw an orange, and it landed 5 feet in front of Tom Osborne. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I remember that guy chucking that. That was incredible.
And we wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And secure. Yeah, we did. I mean, he could have hit Tom Osborne. He literally landed. The guy had holy shit, why isn't he playing Major League Baseball? But it literally landed 5 feet in front of Tom Osborne. And we were all like, you motherfucker.
The better question
Tom Osborne, you will be dead. And we wanted to kill him, and then security came, and we all went, that fucking
We
guy
were
right
all
there.
pointing.
That guy, take him out of here, because if you don't, fucking killing him, fucker.
The other solution to that situation would be like, how many years of eligibility does he have left?
Yeah, there you go.
You mean without his arm being ripped off and beaten over the head?
He wasn't throwing it. He wasn't throwing it at Osborne. He was trying to get coach's attention to say, "Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. Look at me. I can be quarterback."
Saint Tom Osborne. He could have hit him.
Easy on the Saint. All right, come on now. He puts his red pants on one leg at a time, just like the rest of us.
He won.
Finally. So what I did is I extended an invitation to our friends in the Coronation Slack chat room. I said, give me a tradition, a Husker tradition. Don't add any context to it. Some people did, and it's especially with the slant of negativity. I get it. We're all frustrated. It's been a long 23 years. But I said, give me a tradition. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a tradition, and then we can just talk about it like, what do you think? Thumbs is it, we could do the old Roman Emperor, thumbs up, thumbs down, keep it, chuck it, discuss it. Here we go. The tunnel walk.
Thumbs down was let him live.
No.
Yeah, put your sword down.
Okay, guy that wants to do. We're starting something, and you're doing that. That's like bringing up Genghis Khan.
Okay, go.
Tunnel walk. The tunnel walk, Todd.
We'll
like
assume the thumbs
walk?
up is yeah. Okay. I
Do
just
you like
want to
the tunnel walk?
Todd, where you at on tunnel walk? You like it? You don't
Tunnel
like
walk.
it? Think it needs to be changed, updated, modified in any way?
Change it. I don't like serious.
Okay.
Everybody knows what to expect. I think it builds anticipation. The crowd knows how to react to it. I don't get to a lot of home games, but when I do, it's fun. It's like da da da, and it's a perfect song. I noticed you didn't recommend any other songs.
I am recommending two: Crazy Train or that Metallica song that Mariano Rivera came out to.
Enter Sandman?
Sandman. Inner Sandman.
But that's what West Virginia? No. An ACC school. I think Clemson comes out to it.
You're right. Virginia Tech, one of them.
Virginia Tech. You're right. You're right. You're right. My apologies.
This is Chicago Bulls, for God's sakes.
Who had it first, though?
Somebody is always going to be using a song. What do you want? Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto #5?
How about that one that they use for the old Marine Corps commercials? Bum bum bum, bum bum bum, bum bum bum.
Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. You're welcome. That's right. Not just a pretty face, ladies and gentlemen.
You mean the Olympic song? That's what you were talking about.
No.
No, that's what he was talking about. Him.
No, if he's talking about the cannons.
No, I'll find it. Keep going with your examples.
Okay. I will say this. As someone who has never been to Memorial Stadium, I would love to get there at a time when the tunnel walk is what the tunnel walk was, as through my fandom, up to present day. But I say this, look, and I don't know if it's just because this is where we're going to lose some people. I don't know if it's just because we have too many old people in the stands, but I've seen, not you guys, but you watch like a YouTube clip or something of Virginia Tech, and you have 75. I don't know what their stadium holds, but let's assume it's capacity. You have capacity crowd jumping and being a part of that Enter Sandman. That's an experience. Isn't that the one that triggers the Richter scale? when they're all, so that is, you have 85, 90,000 people, whatever, doing this to Enter Sandman. It's a little different, I think, vibe than going. And I love Sirius. I love Alan. My wife and I walked into our wedding reception to that song. Like, it's the one thing that I got to select. And I was like, I want to go in. I had a little horseshoe that was attached to the head table. So we went over there. I hit the horseshoe. It's not the only thing I hit that night. Anyway, I couldn't resist, John.
Oh my God.
Okay, but anyway,
Tunnel Walk. Do you know when that started?
93.
Todd?
I don't remember, John. I think I was there the first time it happened, but I don't remember.
I think it was 94. So see, that was a tradition that just started and people accepted it. Do you know what we did before the Tunnel Walk, Greg?
The band came out and played.
I mean, when the team entered the field, do you know what we did?
Got a final bathroom break in? I really don't know.
Todd?
I don't remember, John.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody fucking remembers because we didn't do anything. We just went, I think they're coming on the field now. I mean, the idea of having a tunnel walk is like, please prepare yourself for football to begin.
I'm not opposed
You're
to
muted.
I way to go, Todd. Jeez. He did that a lot last week too. I think he's farting and doesn't want us to know. But I'm not. I like the tunnel walk. I do. I'm a fan of it. It does give me chills, and I do want to experience in person, and I want to take the family to experience it. I'm also. I think oddly enough, the older I get, the more I realize that it's not necessarily intimidating, and I think it's the perfect time. Like right before kickoff, essentially, to do something that the other team doesn't expect. And to do something that's
where we bring out the live mascot, the mastodon that we have recreated at Nebraska, a la Jurassic Park.
I
never expected this, fuckers, and then run over half of them. Especially if they're like, I don't know, Iowa.
All right. So we've spent quite a bit of time on the tunnel walk. Andy, of all people, says the Husker power chant. Where are you guys at on the Husker power chant?
I think it's cheesy, but I like it. I got to say that I participate in the Husker power chant.
I think we all, you have to, right? There's no,
I think you have to.
Like it or not, you have to, because your voice might be, speaking of intimidation, your voice may be that one voice that cracks the opposition.
I like it because everybody knows how to do it and involves everybody. And you know what I mean? That's a big part of crowds, is having stuff that everybody can participate in.
Well, let's move on because we're already almost to an hour and a half in this show.
If we all, like one-sided chant, kill them, and the other side chant, motherfuckers, I think we could get that going, but probably maybe not. Now that we'll see what happens with the ticket sales. Maybe more young people will start coming to games, and we could just, okay, we're moving on.
How about Der Wiener Schlinger as a tradition?
Is that a tradition?
I don't know. I've not been there. I'm going by everybody else's expertise.
I know that some people seem to think it's a tradition, but some people, back when we were there, John, Husker Mike and Husker Bob, were.
No, it's Mad Mike.
Mad Mike and Husker Bob. The Wiener Slinger, whatever. It's a marketing thing for red hot dogs. So
I think they should have more of them and cross the streams during bad games.
Open up a portal to another dimension and take us all with you. Todd, where are you at on red hot dogs?
Oh, I am a fan.
Are those the Fairbury Franks I hear about when I listen?
Franks, yes, absolutely. Best hot dog out there.
Okay, well, that is an opinion.
I'm not a hot dog guy at all, and they're still pretty decent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good.
I almost never eat hot dogs, and I would eat a Fairbury hot dog.
Okay.
They should pay us now for that endorsement.
They should. Fairbury Franks and Blue Chew. You get your red wiener and your... All right, moving on. You answered the question about the red hot dogs. I can't ask John this question because he doesn't imbibe anymore, but Todd, where are you at on red beers?
Not a fan.
Okay.
I like red beer. I don't drink anymore. Listen, there was two types of red beer people. There was the people with the tomato juice and fucking candy ass shitheads, those people. And then there was those of us that put V8 and Tabasco sauce on our red beer. And we were the spicy fun people. And we had to deal with all these other tomato juice drinking motherfuckers.
Spicy fun beer or your bland tomato beer. Oh.
Let's face it. Most of that Budweiser, Busch, Coors Light, all that stuff is just shit beer. It really is. It's more like water than beer.
It's
put
mass
V8
produced.
and a Tabasco in it, and you got breakfast.
Okay. So I'm not gonna lie. When I first moved to Nebraska, my understanding of a red beer was like an Irish red, like a Killian's or something like that. I had to be. It wasn't until I got into a bowling league that I got smartened up on red beers. John, I'd be more interested in your version of the red beers than the red beers that I've had. But I did have one when I was last in Nebraska last fall. So just saying. All right. What about, I can't believe I'm even going to suggest this one. What about these boys? What about the black shirts? Where are we at on the black shirts? John?
We have to have a black shirt tradition. It's the defense.
I think so.
It just not the thing that needs to go away with the black shirts is these people that are going, when are they going to hand out the black shirts? They handed out too many black shirts. Just to stick with the tradition. Just get fucking over that. It's just the defense. They get special shirts and we get to wear them.
And it's important to realize that a defense in the 21st century operates different from a defense in like the Devaney era. It's not just the same 11 guys out there. We talked about this before when we talked about transfer portal acquisitions and you're rotating, a couple guys in here and there. So while they're not the first 11 guys on the field, they're just as integral if they're, 13th man, because they're spelling, and there's the trust from the coach that there's not a big drop off from this Mike linebacker to the next one, So I agree. Now, do we need to give 43 guys black shirts? That might be overdoing a little bit. I also believe that we don't need black shirts as far as the time. And Todd, I'm curious to know where you're at on this, but like black shirts don't need to be announced until like the week before the first game.
I'm fine with the black shirt tradition. I think it's one that needs to stick around. And if they put him in the lockers for those guys, I kind of like how Frost has handled it, where he's brought back.
Sorry.
Come on, Todd. You're going to have to choke your way through this one.
He's brought back.
We shouldn't have drawn attention to it, John. I blame us.
I like the way that they've handled it with former players at those positions, handing the black shirt to the player. I mean, Trev Alberts was a outside linebacker / rush in, and he's handed the black shirt to whoever that position player is, brought back linebackers to do it. I kind of think that's neat. But I'm with John from the standpoint that the fan base gets so hung up on this damn thing. Too many, not enough. You know what? Get over that. Give them a black shirt. they're the black shirts. You know what? If the entire defense wore black shirts at practice, I would be fine with that. But
Oh my God,
What?
you tradition corrupter.
Why don't we get that way? Like, why don't? Here's what I want. I want the offensive line coach and Scott Frost in conjunction to present the 5 starting offensive linemen with about a 12-foot length of pipe. And it's got to be good and believable because of the pipeline. Like, this is the pipeline. Because what Miami had that dumbass gimmick, was it the turnover chain or whatever a couple years ago? Like, I'm fine with gimmicks. Like, gimmicks, we talked about this a little bit on air, but quite a bit off air. But like, there's a reason why the Savannah Bananas are succeeding, because people just want to be, a little bit of that entertainment value. And like, we're here every week supporting our Huskers in our own way. Like, there's you and me, John, who appreciate everything that Scott Frost is doing. And then there's Todd. But we're here, but there hasn't been a ton of entertainment value. And maybe that's going to just piss off a lot of people. Like, it's football. It's not supposed to be entertaining. Well, it's entertaining when they win.
I think that they, when the offensive linemen come off the field for like the last play of the third quarter, they should have like medium rare or rare steaks thrown at them.
I'm reminded of, I don't mean that's fine. But I'm reminded of Little Giants when the kind of like ragtag team of would-be's and has-beens and never-were's like come together against the Cowboys, and like the little scrawny kids popping Alka-Seltzer, so he's foaming at the mouth, like goofy shit like that. That's I'm for it. It's not, look, we're seeing the sellout streak, and that was not even suggested here. And I don't even know how much of a tradition that is, but the sellout streak is basically being propped up by corporations. But if you give people like something different, something a little bit more fun, in conjunction with a higher quality football product, then you are not going to have Monsanto or whomever purchasing thousands of tickets to you, or as they, I listened to too many pro wrestling podcasts of yesteryear because I don't follow it anymore, but they call it papering the crowd, where it's giveaway. You have somebody buying up a bunch of tickets to give away, make it look like a full house. And you don't have to do that if people feel like they're getting their money's worth, ahead of time. And look, ticket prices aren't coming down, and they're talking about these stadium renovations and all these new ideas, which, again, having never been there, I think one of the bigger complaints or requests was, hey, look, our asses aren't 12 inches wide anymore. You need more space. And I get that as a wider man. So you're going to have, I think we're going to see ticket prices come down because they're going to sell less tickets, because they're going to, I think, in some form or fashion, widen out some of those bleachers or whatever the new seating arrangement is going to be. They're not going to take an L in the revenue column. They'll adjust the ticket prices accordingly to make sure that, they're still in the black and financially viable. I mean, it's Husker football. I don't see it ever not being financially viable, but you know what I'm saying. But if you have a winning team and you have maybe just a skosh of entertainment, then you don't have to have companies buying up thousands of tickets to, give to their employees. Yes, John.
College football attendance across the board, not just Nebraska, has been dropping for years. So, I mean, you could make, we have taken the sellout streak and the fact that Memorial Stadium has been sold out since I've been alive for granted, really. And whether it's fake or not, the idea that, the whole stadium gets filled every game Nobody else does that, right? Even if they're good. When you look around the nation, everybody else was having difficulty filling their street. It's the same problem everybody else has. Major League Baseball. Why go to a Major League Baseball? I can play Forbidden West on my PS4, and I don't have to go deal with other people. I can watch the games at home. I could do other things. There's extreme sports. I could ride my mountain bike. I can do, you know what I mean? There's just tons of competing things that obviously I don't do other than video games. There's just tons of things competing for entertainment now that I think, and that was the reason for all of college football attendance being down. And they will, if they're going to have people come to the games, they're going to have to figure out how to get them there. Wasn't it Mark Cuban years ago that figured out that the NBA games had to be entertaining and changed the way the NBA did everything they were doing? I'm not an NBA guy, but that was, you know what I mean? When you go to an NBA game, it's always, there's stuff going on all the time.
Right.
When was the last time you were in an NFL game?
Who, me?
Yeah.
2015. The Steelers were in St. Louis to play the Rams. And my wife it was actually just a week after we went up to watch Nebraska, and Nebraska actually beat Illinois. My wife was pregnant with our oldest son. So he got a Husker win and a Steeler win in about 8 days apart. So,
Todd, NFL game.
What about it?
When was the last time you went to one?
I have only been to one.
The year was 1948.
Barry Sanders, Detroit Lions up in the Hubert Humphrey Metrodome.
All right. Well, if you go to an NFL game, what you find is that every spare moment there is noise.
Yeah.
And it's not just crowd noise. You mentioned the Metrodome. My God. Remember Brett Favre complaining about how loud the Metrodome was? Because it was. I saw a few NFL games there, and every time I left, it was like I'd been at a Clash concert. It was numbing after a while. And I'm not a big NFL guy, but you left exhausted because of how much sound there was in the stadium. And I don't think college football needs to do something like that, but I do think that they need to look at how are we going to improve this.
The last quote unquote tradition, and I put this one in quotes because it's less a tradition and more a misallocation of resources. And this one again coming from our dear friend Andy, and he says, I have to pull it up here again. He says, student section treated like convicts on work release. Can we free the student section, please?
I would like to see it move down to where the team comes out.
Yeah.
Because, they are student athletes, really, and they are people that go to class with them. And it'd be nice to do, to have the team come over after a game and say, hi, fellow students. They could all just sing the song with the band there or something. I don't know. The whole idea that the students are set the furthest point away that they can be in the stadium with the team coming out just seems, it seems kind of like we're assholes. And we can give a shit about them. And it really just says to them, by the way, the moment you graduate, we will be looking for donations from you. But by the way, your tickets with your students just shit. Why would you come back for that?
They are quite literally at the kids' table. They're at the kids' table of stadium seating.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be better to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it's atrocious and it needs to be changed, Trev. Call me.
Yes, absolutely. It'd be better to put them where they put the visiting fans, because at least then when the visiting team comes out, the students can give them hell. But I'm with John. I think put them up there where the Nebraska team comes out. Put the band up there too, so that they're together. But
yeah, they're all students.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, money grubbing motherfuckers. Every fucking dime you worry about in this thing. God, it's not like we're going broke any moment.
Okay. You guys are so adept at looking up things while we're trying to do this. And I'm like a bear in a china closet when it comes to trying to do anything while we're recording this. Here is my tunnel walk song.
Don't play it because. Okay.
What is it?
Carmen, it's
Carmina Burana, O Fortuna.
Okay, well, we could include a link. If we play it, YouTube will probably find some fucking copyright thing with it.
that's true. They will.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we can't get away with it on the audio version either. But I know the song. I don't know the words, but I know that.
I don't know that there are,
Oh
there
my
are
God.
words, but they're in Latin.
Boom, boom.
And the timpani just gets pounding back there. You betcha.
All right, I'm done. That's good
Oh
stuff.
my God, what else do we have?
That's all.
You know what?
This
I
has
say
been going on for
monkeypox?
almost 2 hours.
That's what you have.
Two things with tradition. I liked the third quarter thing that they did with the lights at, those home games at the night games. That was pretty cool.
I agree.
That was neat. But I really liked, when they do the third quarter song with that Irish song,
The Killigans.
the Killing.
The running
I
boys.
love that. And if they would do a better job of putting the words up on the video board so people could actually learn the words and sing along, that would be pretty cool. And I think people would get into that.
Time out. I'm going to stop you right there because if they are anybody, if they are at all a Husker fan, then they will have it on their phone just like I do. Well, that's shit.
He has it on his phone.
I have it on my phone.
Let the jury know that it's on his phone.
There you go.
This is not working. Take 3.
No.
Best.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Oh, there it is. You look
The
good
corn
there.
husker.
Good job, but,
Come on, running boys.
That, you know what? We could probably get away with it since they're good friends with our good friends over at the Big Red Cobcast. I'm just, where's it at? Come on, you son of a bitch. Oh, I gotta have the volume turned up.
Come a running, boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song from the sons of Nebraska.
Probably about all we can get away with to keep this show on YouTube. But you're absolutely right. They can, and I love that song, but at some point, the university, the athletic department, the marketing team, whomever, the media team, I guess maybe, you can't hold people's hands. Like if you want to know the lyrics of the song, you can look them up. The lyrics are on UNL's website, are on huskers.com, because it's not a new song. It's just a cover version. The original version is
see this, Greg. See what you're doing? You're doing
giving
the young
people work.
version. You're doing the young version, the young people version. See, when you get old, you go, "What are the fucking words of this song?" Oh, there they are. Yeah. Otherwise, because you can't remember stuff. My God, what do you want from us?
I want you to care, John. I want you to care.
I'm supposed to print out the lyrics on a piece of paper and then throw the piece of paper and just have more litter associated with Nebraska football games.
There are on a college. I'm gonna stop you right there, son of a bitch. On a college football game day in Lincoln, Nebraska, Memorial Stadium it's reported the third largest, populated place in the state. Omaha, Lincoln, and then Memorial Stadium. 90,000 plus people, give or take, a couple. Of that number, 75,000 have one of these in their pockets. Come on, you sons of bitches. It's not difficult. Or you practice ahead of time.
You're still on this lyrics thing.
Like we're at damn Texas A&M. You roll out the night before and you
There you
do
go.
your drills and you learn the damn songs, you sons of bitches. It's not difficult. It's not difficult to learn a song. My 6-year-old can learn songs. After about 3 times listening to it, he starts singing in the back of the van. Are you saying, not you, John, or Todd, the general you, are you saying that you're not as smart as my 6-year-old?
Well,
now, granted, he's a graduate. He graduated from kindergarten today.
Ooh.
all right.
We're all very proud. But at the same time, he also thought he was going to first grade tomorrow. I'm like, no, dude, you have this summer vacation. Enjoy it. You don't get them when you're my age. So if he can learn a song, you can learn a song.
Okay.
That's it. We got to go. This thing's dragging on forever. And I'm not entirely sure that my laptop's plugged in.
Okay.
That'll do it. John, are you happy-ish?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Todd, are you moderately pleased with all that we accomplished tonight?
Yeah, we covered a lot of territory.
And as a bonus, as some good news, the Blues won in overtime. We'll see you back in St. Louis Friday night.
Okay,
right,
yeah, go Blues.
No, let's go Blues. Not go Blues. It's let's go.
See how picky fans are?
Yeah.
Well,
John,
fuck the Blues. Fuck them.
Are you just saying that because they beat Minnesota in the first round?
Did they? Yes. Okay, fine.
That'd be like saying, instead of go Big Red, that'd be like saying, go Huskers. It's not the same.
Okay.
All right.
We're lingering now. We are lingering.
I don't know how to wrap things up. That'll do it for this episode of the 5 Heart Podcast, folks. We appreciate you tuning in, and we also apologize. And that's about as good as you're going to get. So for my main man, as always, Todd Wolverton, for our founder and fearless leader, John Dam Johnston, I'm Greg Mahochko. And we remind you this week and every week that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.